Out in the wild blue yonder of the mid-Pacific Ocean is the world's largest coral atoll. It's home to millions of seabirds, and I guess it follows that where you have so many seabirds, you're also going to have fish. And this place is a fly fisherman's paradise. Christmas Island was discovered by Captain Cook on his third voyage to the Pacific in 1777. It's now part of the Republic of Kiribati, but at the time Cook discovered it, the island was so remote it was unknown. The immense shallow lagoon faces northwest, and for eons of time the wind and waves that have shaped this island have filled the lagoon with a vast complex of sand flats. And these flats teem with bonefish. These fish are to saltwater fly fishermen what trout are to the freshwater fly fishing fraternity. Many of the Micronesian people of Christmas Island work as guides for the fly fishermen who travel here to pursue these wonderful fish.
I got him. I still haven't got him.
Brown.
Okay. Which way? Left of him? The Christmas Island guides are incredibly experienced. They're probably the best bonefish guides in the world. Americans have been coming here for a long time, and it's only in the last few years that Air Pacific have started flying in here from Australia and bringing more Australians here. And it's actually easier for Aussies to get here than it is for Americans. But these guys have been trained by some top American fly fishing guides from Florida, and they really know their stuff. But what really makes them outstanding, guys like Eckes here, is their ability to see fish is phenomenal. On a blue sky day like today, most people can see fish, but when you get a bit of cloud, things get a little more difficult. These guys are worth gold, okay? And if you're coming to Christmas Island, I thoroughly recommend that you work with the guides. It's not expensive in world terms, but they can really make a day for you. Most of them speak good English, great guys, and also themselves extremely competent fly fishermen. Don't have a casting competition with these guys because you'll get beaten. They're very, very good fly fishermen as well. And I thoroughly recommend taking out the guiding service. Of course, they know which flats to fish at what stage of the tide. They have access to all the back country. It's not only their ability to spot fish, but their knowledge of this lagoon, which is just fantastic. You show the local guides here your fly box and you risk instant dismissal. Most of the flies that guys bring here are way too heavily dressed. They like really, really sparsely tied fly. Eckes, do you just want to have a look at these flies I've got and pick which ones you think would be best?
Yeah.
Are these all right?
Yeah, that's good.
Too much dressing, or?
That's all right.
Okay. These little ones?
I've been using like those colors, and I've been catching fish with it.
Okay, so what colors do you like?
I like orange better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And pink too.
And pink is good?
Just like this one with the rubber legs.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I threw that at a fish this morning.
Yeah.
And he looked and went,
oh, yeah.
But they were doing that with everything this morning. Yeah. Okay. And these little ones?
Yeah.
Very small and light on the bottom of the tide. And the other fly that's been working well for me is this little yellow one with the tan wing.
Yeah.
That's been
color.
Working really well. Yeah.
And that color is when you put the like brass eyes.
Mm-hmm. You prefer brass eyes, eh?
Yeah, it's getting much better.
Okay. See, I like the black eyes.
Yeah.
Not so much for here, but for other fishing. I like the black eyes because it looks like a shrimp or something. So I use black eyes on a lot of my flies. You see all of these have got black eyes, but you like the brass?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like them better.
Boy, the things you've got to learn. And keep learning. See, there's another one. That one's got the brass eyes.
Yeah.
That's the same pattern with the brass eyes.
That's the good one.
You like that one?
Yeah.
Okay. I should tie that on now?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Let's do that.
Let's see if it worked.
Let's hope it works.
The very essence of a bonefish means they feed in the shallowest water. They've evolved for life in this exposed habitat, and their nervous disposition reflects the dangers they feel being so exposed. They're on maximum alert most of the time. Their feeding path is often erratic and unpredictable, and they can be very particular about what they'll eat. This all adds to the challenge of going bone fishing.
You've gone right. And then back again. What's really important on the presentation is to not look at the fish. You've got to look at where you want to put your fly. If you look at the fish, you will generally put your fly far too close to the fish. So look where you want your look at where you want your fly to land. Really important. Of course, that presents other issues. Sometimes you take your eyes off these fish and they just vanish. And the moment that you, split second that you take your eyes off, they make a turn and you look back and they're gone. That one's going away from me. There's one down there heading away. But I'm leading the fish by a long way and try to have them come onto the fly rather than have it land anywhere near them, like an ambush. So there's a real mix of small and large fish coming through. The flat's draining off, it's starting to become exposed. If we got up into the shallows there might be tailing fish, but they're really spooky up on there. So I'm just sitting on the back of the flat as it's draining off. Fish are coming past here. Still feeding, the tide started to fall. We fished out the top of the tide, that was when they were quite inactive. And they should start to feed again pretty soon. They should become a lot more active. The rising tide is better than the falling tide, but you still get plenty of fish on the falling tide. They're just a bit trickier. You've got to work a little harder for them, or a little more delicately. I'm down to a 12-foot leader. Here comes a good fish. I'm down to a 12-foot leader. 10-pound fluorocarbon tippet. There's actually two there. Three. There's a line of three. Okay. Oh, the middle one turned and fled. No, here he comes. Here he comes. Come on. Straight onto it. Come on, eat it. Going. Been a very tough morning in these glassy, calm conditions. A lot of fish. So many fish, but just so many refusals. I've been through almost my entire fly box and had fish follow flies and fish look at them. Coming back at me now.
Although bonefish are the main attraction on these flats, other species can be caught as well. Tailing triggerfish are an intriguing sight and always a challenge for fly fishermen, and puffers are a constant distraction. These huge mantis shrimp are an island delicacy.
God, they're prehistoric looking.
They got you very deep.
Got you very deeply, eh? Yeah. So you just dangled the fish on the hole, and he grabbed hold of the fish.
Yeah.
And then how did you avoid the... Just grabbed the very tip.
There's another hole.
Another hole there? I thought it was catching another one. Yeah, no, I've got him. And spikes on the tail. Look at the tail. Just wicked. Primitive looking thing. These claws shoot up out of the sand and grab passing fish. And they'll really do you a lot of damage. Prehistoric, wild looking things. Chomp, he just grabs it straight away. Drags it down into the hole.
Everybody's got to do it.
Did you keep score at all?
No, but I just got well into double figures and just euphoric, mate. Couldn't count. No.
This is great when it gets beyond counting, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just, I haven't been this happy for goodness knows, mate.
It's one of the best sessions I've had on the flats, absolutely.
And we've still got the incoming tide.
It's still incoming, exactly. You've got that to look forward to this afternoon.
There's some bonefish fishing.
What was your biggest one, Big?
First one, mate, £5 I reckon. Took me well into the backing. It was a nice, yeah, I showed Jason. It was a very, very good fish.
After a long hot day in the burning sun of these equatorial flats, the Captain Cook Hotel is an oasis of island hospitality. The main island lagoon is 18 miles across and is filled with shallow flats. We travel by truck to get to the very inside of the lagoon, to the backcountry area with its prolific seabird rookeries and uncounted miles of bonefish flats. You could easily get lost on this baking hot and deeply convoluted shoreline. The flats here are edge flats and the fish move in and out of the shallows. You can walk here all day amongst the birds and the fish, but carry plenty of water and wear good wading boots.
Yeah, time for a fly change. Some quite big bones in this back country, and they're notoriously fickle, these big guys. And the bigger the bone around here, it seems the smaller the fly. This is a little size 8 fly, just nothing to it. There's a trevally smashing into the mullet in the corner there, but I'm focusing on the bonefish. Yeah, they're just in these lee shores. We're at the top of the tide at the moment, so there's no current, and they're being a little bit lazy and also very spooky. Top and bottom of the tide, they're notoriously nervous, and you know, if anything lands anywhere near them, they spook. You've got to lead them by sometimes 20 feet, sink the fly to the bottom and have it waiting there for them. Sometimes they're in a silly mood and, you know, you land the fly amongst them and one of them will pounce on it, but not this morning. They're in a tough mood, and these are big bones, so they've seen quite a few anglers. I'm even going to trim this fly back a bit, get rid of some of these straggly hairs. 10-pound fluorocarbon tippet, and that's as fine as I want to go around here. 10 pounds is pretty light, but the fluorocarbon is very abrasion resistant, and these fish will take you into the coral. They're not always a clean fighting fish. Sometimes it's inadvertent, they'll actually swim around and through the coral to get away when you hook up, but sometimes they'll also deliberately stick their head into a clump of coral and cut your tippet off. I find the fluorocarbon is very good for two reasons. The sink rate, it gets the fly down deep quickly. There's very little sinking resistance, and also for the abrasion resistance. Whether or not it's, you know, more invisible to fish than standard monofilaments, than copolymers, I don't know. But it's certainly, I fish it with confidence in this part of the world. First run of a bonefish is something special. I don't know what size this is. There was a school of them coming by, a mixture of large and small fish. But usually once they get you into the backing, they can be up around the 3-pound mark, the 4-pound mark. But even the little ones will get you right out there. We're at the top of a falling tide, and there's a school of fish working this corner, just coming onto the flats and going back to the deeper water. Playing the patience game of waiting for them to show themselves. Goes again. This is the second run. There he comes in now. That funny sideways thing they do as they come towards you. There's a good fish. Okay, he's going to take off again. Yeah, try and keep it out of that very sharp edge. There it goes again. These things will cut you off. The edges of this limestone plate are incredibly sharp and jagged. This is a good fish. This is above average for Christmas Island. You catch a lot of small fish here. It's an extraordinary nursery, this lagoon. But where you've got lots of little fish, you've got to have big fish as well. And this is a place where you can really rack up some scores of fish. This is its third run. And I like to target the big fish these days. I've been here quite a few times, and you get in some of the corners with the softer, silty corners, and you get huge schools of little bonefish. But the bigger ones just seem to hang in certain areas. And I could see this school cruising just on the edge of the flat. On this falling tide, they're a bit shy about coming up into the shallower water. Okay. Now I'll start to give it some pressure now. Work it to the left and to the right. There it goes again. Immensely powerful fish. Look at their size. There goes again. Always the tricky bit, landing them. I love these backcountry flats. It's what we call the backcountry, way at the back of the lagoon. You can come here by boat, but it's through an incredible maze of channels, and it's quite some navigation required. We like to come in here by truck. I think these backcountries are my favourite, although I can't work out which is my favourite. But I do really love coming in here. You'll always find a sheltered shore here. It's not like the open lagoon flats, what they call the pancake flats. Oh, that's a good fish. That's a nice big bone. For this part of the world, that is a well above average fish. Beautiful. The Christmas Island bonefish in this lagoon on the island is actually very, very protected by the government. And they realise that these are such a valuable resource. The guides are some of the best paid people in the Republic of Kiribati, and you know, they're just about the only thing that brings tourists to this place. It's very, very important for their economy. This is exactly what I've been looking for. We've got an incoming tide, grey overcast sky, so it's very difficult to see the fish. But there's a tailing boney down here. There may even be another one beyond, but on these grey sorts of days, this is the best way to find them. Just look for their tails. It's in incredibly shallow water. It's just lying there in one spot. It's tucked in behind one of those little gravel bars, just feeding on stuff coming through. Tricky presentations, because when they're in water this shallow, you've got to get your fly right up to them. See how I go. I tell you, fly fishing just does not get any better than that. That is just magnificent. Wonderful. He's got me into the backing too. It's not a bad bone. Well, I don't think there's any such thing as a bad bone. One of the things I just love about these fish is, you know, you try and put a description to a fish, and the nearest thing I can come up to why these things are so special, apart from the places you catch them in, is that they just have some kind of charisma about them. There's no spiky bits on them, they don't have any teeth, they're not an edible species, so they're entirely a sport fish. You know, they all go back, but they just have I just can't get enough of these fish. Oh, he's a good bone actually. I just can't get enough of them. And of this style of fishing. Oh, going again. Get my rod high because there's a few rocks around here. Fair bit of drag on it. A few rocks around here, and by getting a high angle on the line, the fish can thread its way amongst the rocks, and less chance of having it drag through the coral or the other rocks that might be here. Coming back at me. Crank fast. Alright. Come on, Mr. Bone. There he is. Oh, one of the things you certainly learn in this bone fishing is cranking. You must wind with your dominant hand because these things can come back at you so fast. It's a very nice fish. There it is. Look at that. Come on, Mr. Bone. Come on, Mr. Bone. There we go. Sensational. God, fishing just does not get any better than that. Just tail was sticking up. Occasionally its dorsal was popping up. Look at that thing. Off you go then. There we go. Hello, you beautiful thing. He's been feeding in the gravel. Look at his lips, they're all chafed. Got a bit of sunburnt lip there, mate. Okay, out it comes. There you go. What a great fight. They're extraordinarily strong. The shape of that body, just all muscle, and of course bonefish refers to their very large skeletal structure to hold all that muscle together. Thank you, Mr. Bone. See you later.
Yo, yo.